I'm Cheryl Chumley. This is Bold and Blunt, giving you a Christian conservative view of news, politics, culture, and events. Gol Kalev, thank you so much for being on Bold and Blunt, the video version. It's great to speak with you again.
Great to be here, Cheryl.
So you are still in Jerusalem, I take it. And I wanted to talk with you today about the two-state solution because Joe Biden just put out this piece in the Washington Post expressing concern for the Israeli people, also expressing heartbreak for the Palestinian people and calling for a two-state solution, doubling down on the idea of a two-state solution. Tell me your response to that.
First of all, I think we welcome the president's involvement here. I mean, I think every Israeli on the left and on the right are grateful to President Biden and to the United States for all that they've been doing over the last few weeks. Having said all that, as far as the question of what happens the morning after, there seems to be disagreement, or maybe they're not, depending what it means by the two-state solution. In general, the two-state solution has been mostly a slogan over the years, over the decades, since it has been used in every single discussion or context when people talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The two-state solution in general means that you're going to have two states, an Israeli and a Palestinian state living side by side, in peace and security, and the Palestinian state would be demilitarized. So in all the templates, going back to the Geneva Initiative that we had about 20 or 30 years ago, and all the other iterations, the two states, the Palestinian state is a demilitarized state. They don't control their airspace. Israel controls their airspace and the borders and some of the settlement stays. So the two-state solution historically meant an Israeli state living side by side next to a demilitarized Palestinian state. And I think that's what he intended. But it really depends on what it means by a two-state solution.
Well, he put out a couple of specifics that I wanted to read to you and just to get your response on it, because it almost seems like he's calling for a ceasefire without using the word ceasefire. And I know he's under great pressure from the international community and many in this country to call for a ceasefire for Israel against Hamas. But this is what he said. He said the Gaza in a two-state solution that his White House is pressing for can never be used as a platform for terrorism. No forcible displacement of Palestinians from Gaza, no reoccupation, no siege, no blockade, no reduction in territory. And also, he wants to see a union, a reuniting of Gaza and the West Bank under one central government. So those are two specifics that he sees as a viable two-state solution. How do you think that goes over in Israel?
Yeah, I mean, Israel made it very clear that we must keep the security control of Gaza afterwards. The civilian rule of Palestine, we don't want to rule Palestinians, but as far as taking care of our security as we do in the West Bank now, we need to keep security measures of that. There's a lot of problems for Palestinians with the notions of, if you're somebody from Gaza and one day somebody tells you that, we're going to have somebody who's not from Gaza, who's not from here, from the West Bank that can barely keep the control of their own state, is going to come and govern you. It's a little bit. It's a little bit arrogant. They don't want that. The Palestinians don't want the Palestinian Authority. So maybe that two-state solution is not necessarily the Palestinian Authority as we know it. Maybe it's something else. But look, this is all theoretical. This has always been theoretical. The two-state solution is as I mentioned, is a slogan. It's something. It's sort of like a rites of passage. I once had a friend run for Congress in the Democratic Party. So when she came to the Democratic machine, to the authorities, and wanted to prove, or we practiced our talking points, and one of the talking points was that she believes in the two-state solution. We were even debating, is it two-state solutions or is it two-states solution? It doesn't matter what it is in reality. It matters what is the slogan. It's a slogan. But the two-state solution died on October 7th. And it died for two reasons, both because of the Hamas attack, but more so because of the way that the international community and the media have treated all of this. We spoke, Cheryl, last time about how at least I view it as a two-arena war that we're fighting. One is the physical attack on the Jewish nation that is occurring, in Gaza and in Lebanon and in the West Bank and elsewhere, and the other is the ideological attack on the Jewish nation that is being carried out in the media, in the UN, when Secretary General of the UN said, sort of justified the attacks from Gaza, saying they've been under occupation. So the two-state solution died because of the ideological attack on the Jewish nation. Because, we got out of Gaza in 2005. There was not a single Israeli soldier left. There's not a single Israeli settler left. There is no warning stations. That was a complete, we completely got out. We disengaged. In that futurist two-state solution, we were not going to get out to the same extent, meaning the template that were discussed between Israel and Palestinians and American officials over the last decades call for some Israeli presence to stay in that state of Palestine. So if everybody now, all those people in the media and the UN call Gaza an occupation and justify Hamas's actions because Gaza was under occupation, then certainly that state of Palestine in the two-state solution will be under occupation. I mean, is the UN Secretary General willing to come up here and say, I viewed Gaza as an occupation, but I'm not going to view the state of Palestine as occupation, even though it's much more occupied than what Gaza has been until a few weeks ago. Is the BBC and all those media outlets that have all those historical programs about how Gaza people have been under siege and all that kind of stuff. So the two-state solution that wasn't alive to begin with, that was mostly a slogan until now, is now officially dead after October 7th. And that is because of all those people that are advocating for it. They're the one who are saying that Gaza has been under occupation, and therefore, to one degree or another, justifying the actions of the Palestinians or Hamas. So they would say that the state of Palestine is under occupation. So what is the point of having a two-state solution if we're going to continue the occupation per their narrative?
So let's just finish with this last question, Gol, because you pointed out that Israelis left Gaza in 2005, and I believe it was 2006, where 52% of Palestinians in Gaza voted for Hamas to be their governing structure. So when you look at a two-state solution, how viable it might be, if you have the majority of those that you're supposed to have a diplomatic working relationship with who would like to wipe you off the face of the map and utterly wipe out your people, how do you go forward with diplomacy? That's a little bit rhetorical. So what I want to ask you is, what would be the solution then? Is there a solution? Is there anything like a two-state solution or any type of solution that politicians can embrace going forward?
Well, Cheryl, we had a two-state solution already in 1920. In 1920, people tend to forget we had a utopian, peaceful Middle East, a Jewish state in the making in Palestine. This is way before the Arabs adopted the name of Palestine, which included today's Israel, today the West Bank, and parts of Transjordan. Living side by side next to an Arab state, a kingdom in Syria that was pro-Zionist and supported the Jewish state. So you had a Jewish state that the British were mandated to create, that is not just in today's Israel, but also in the West Bank and also in Jordan. And the Arabs supported it. What happened was that the French came in and says, no, Syria belongs to us. And they kicked out, the Faisal, the king of Syria. The British were forced to carve out Palestine and give the Jordan to him. But most importantly, this is when, in 1920, because of those, because the Europeans broke that two-state solution we had over then, that the West have started telling the Arabs in Palestine to start getting used to a new identity. You from now on, you're not Syrians, you're Palestinians. Now, most people did not have any national sentiments at that time, but those who did view themselves as Syrians. And we still have videos of people that were interviewed years later, decades later, in the 70s, and talk about that, about how horrible it is that the Western colonialism is forcing us to be called Palestinians and not Syrians. So we had a two-state solution, and maybe we can look at that in some sort of a utopic way of, obviously it's not practical to go to anything close to that, but 100 years ago there was peace between Israel and the Arabs through a two-state solution, and the Europeans have wrecked it. So maybe as far as the solution, the first thing that needs to happen is for Europe to go back to Europe and mind its own problems, which they have a lot, and we should help them, but we should stop the intervention and stop the outside intervention of Europe and others in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. If we can have discussions and solutions over the next decades that are in local terms, that are appropriate to Palestinians, to Arabs, to Muslims, to Jews here in this Middle East, as opposed to some think tank or like a air-conditioned room in the State Department or in the EU, then we have a chance of arriving to peace, which it will take time. It might take decades. But until now, all those two-state solutions and all those frameworks have been Western frameworks with a hint of colonialism that are trying to be imposed on the Palestinians and on the Israelis, and that just doesn't work.
It's just political talking points that's meaningless. Yep. Gol Kalev, I want to thank you so much for speaking from Israel once again. Stay safe, and I will talk with you soon.
Looking forward. Thanks.